Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I gotta keep an eye on that waiting room because I keep forgetting to let people in. Hi, Micah.
Did you get your dog yet, Lane?
Oh yeah. What's
No, I
happening with
didn't.
the puppy?
I was expecting to hear you tell us all that you got the puppy today.
No, I lost more sleep last night, and then I did what you said though, and well, it was like 3 in the morning, and I finally got up and just meditated, and it's like, what do you want to tell me? And then came through with some things, but it's just like, well, this isn't that important. Why am I losing sleep? But maybe it
Uh,
is important. I
I don't
don't
know if you've
know.
ever heard that saying, don't sweat the small stuff because in the end, the small stuff becomes the big stuff. Something like that. It's not,
Yeah.
when you look back at it and you go, wow, that was such a little thing that happened that made my life so big. So
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't, there's a book too, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff.
Yeah. Um, no, I talked to my husband more about the puppy. I don't, and he's a realist, so he wants one more than I do, but at the same time, he's a realist within the next, what we got planned going on here in the next year or two.
Mhm.
But anyways, there's always a reason you can probably put it off, but I feel like if my kids were older, it would be a lot more enjoyable for me if they could help with stuff with the puppy.
True.
But that I still kind of want it.
Yeah. What kind of puppy were you looking at?
It's a lab,
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah.
so it's a big dog.
They're the
Where my
best.
last one was a 10-pounder little guy, but he wasn't a very good family dog. He was just a good me and my husband dog when we first got together, and he was great. The little
He was
loyal
selfish.
guy.
He was selfish.
Yeah, but he didn't really care for my kids, so I was like, I want a family dog next time. So
Yeah. And how old is your daughter's the oldest, right?
yeah, she's 6 and my son is 3,
Okay.
and he's a challenge.
Well, I think when we got our first lab, uh, she she was such a sweetheart. Chase was 7, so Shane was probably 4, and Emma was 2 or 3. Anyways, she she was like another child for us in all the good ways. She was so sweet, and we loved her so much. She grew up with the kids, and it was great. And labs are great that way. Um,
Yeah,
they are, they are. She kind of fooled us because she wasn't the personality of most labs. She was very subdued and quiet, and but she came from a really good breeder who breeds for the blind, who did at that time breed for the blind the oh my god, I can't say it. Uh, dogs for the blind. I forget.
Seeing
Canadian.
eye dogs.
Yeah, seeing eye dogs. Thank you. That's it. And she was fabulous. So yeah, it was really, sweet having her grow up with all the pictures with the kids and stuff. So I think every family needs a dog. I do.
Yeah. Well, and we got Ava when Liam was 2.5. And, there was a phase there where I was like, oh my God, I feel like a postpartum mom to have a dog and a toddler,
yeah,
but they're like the best of friends. Like they don't do anything without each other.
Oh, sweet.
yeah. I always see your dog on your
So,
lap, Micah, and
yeah.
I
And
always see your dog on your lap.
she's an Australian Labradoodle, and they're bred for to be service dogs. like they have the temperament of a service dog. And so the things that Liam can do to her, and she's just like, oh my God, you love me so much. Where other dogs would be like, yikes, what is going on? She just like, give me some more. Like he can like yank on her face and pull her tail or whatever. And she's just like, you just love me.
Yeah. Yeah. Making sure you get the right one is important. Hi, Lindsay.
Yeah.
We definitely, our next lab was a high energy lab, and we went back to the original breeder, and that breeder was in Ontario, and we were going to get one of her puppies again and fly it out. But we really loved the dark gold, and she had a whole litter of just black. And looking back, I probably should have just gone with it. But she said, I have a friend who breeds, and she has a couple like that are ready to go or will be ready to go. So I bought from her friend. Well, Eddie was not very smart. he was just like Marley off of Marley and Me, just training till the very last day. But we loved him anyways. Yeah. But Ellie now has me convinced that golden retrievers are the way to go rather than the yellow lab. They're just, oh my gosh. I feel so bad for her right now because she was spayed on Tuesday and she's still not hardly moving. Like she's just such a big baby about it. And I'm like, I know she's in pain still, like, but she just wants to be cuddled and held, and she won't eat. And so I made some rice, and I'm making a hamburger today to try and get her to eat, because she's not eating much at all still. I think the painkillers, are not doing well. She's finished the last painkiller today, but they upset their belly a little bit. So anyway.
Janice, I'd be looking at getting her some probiotics and taking a look, because there's no way she should still be in that much discomfort this far from spay.
Yeah. Okay.
From my clinical perspective, get it looked at.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. But they said to keep her quiet for 3 days at least, and then no jumping or running for 2 weeks. So yeah, she slept the whole day away yesterday, and poor little thing.
Well, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We'll keep an eye on her. Well, good luck with your decision, Lindsay. All right. Well, Delmaine's not here yet. I'm not sure where she is, and I'm gonna get going. Okay. Because this is Friday. So we are talking about the wealthy woman. I'm going to share my screen here and turn my music down. Okay. Okay. So if anyone sees that Delmaine comes in, or I guess you won't. Goodness. I hope let me just quick text her and make sure I don't miss her, because I don't want to be in the middle of this and not see her. You know what? I can put that to the side. Okay. I'm going to keep this on small just for a minute till we get going here. Okay. So this one is all about the wealthy woman mindset. I love this one. She is coming in 1 minute, so I can't forget her. So we're going to be talking about the energy of wealth. So first of all, I want you to think about a wealthy woman entrepreneur, whether it is someone that you know, or if it's from a TV show, some wealthy woman persona, the archetype of the wealthy woman. How does this woman walk? How, she's running this empire. How does she walk? How does she hold herself? What's her presence like, her power like? And I often think of, I actually read a book many, many, many years ago, back in my early 20s, about a woman that started an empire. She started selling fabric in the 1800s or something like that. And she grew her store and grew it until it was this huge, empire. And that's what the whole novel was about, her from the beginning to the end, and then how she changed and how she held herself. And also Louise Hay often comes to my mind, because Louise Hay, if you know her, she really didn't step into her power until she was, later in life. She was a she created Hay House, right? But she didn't, I think, publish her book. I don't know if anyone knows or remembers. I think she was in her 50s before she published her first book. And then she created Hay House from that point on. And she always looked so, put together, and she held herself in that energy of like, I am here, this is me, and this is what I'm creating. This kind of presence was there with her. So if you can find someone that you can look at and go, yeah, that person really has it held together. Maybe somebody in royalty, maybe a persona from a show. If you can think of anyone, just shout it out here for us, because there's really not as many as we might think, right?
Often think of Oprah.
Yes.
And where she began as a reporter and was always in the background, and then one day I don't recall the beginning of her story, but she just made up her mind that she was going to be a success, and everything she touched turned to gold.
Right. And from very humble beginnings. And
yeah.
And she was she was raped when she was younger too, like a child. So she had to work through a lot of stuff. Here she is. And so it's the claiming of the energy, right? There. The claiming of that power, the claiming of that presence that we need to step into as we create a business. And it doesn't have to be like this tiny little business. You could be creating, a movement in the world, a shift. But you've got to claim it. You've got to step into it. So she's got the presence and power all around her. She has confidence and trust in herself and ability to make decisions. That's the part that I quite love, is like, she doesn't have to look around at anyone else. She can step in, she can take advice, she can consult, but she makes the decision in the end. No one had to give her permission to step into that role. She just decided. So what do you already know about this aspect of yourself? And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm not building an empire, Janice. That's fine. This is about claiming the power within yourself to lead in your own life instead of that wobbly energy. And I've been talking about that all week. So it's interesting that we're doing this module today. I didn't connect the two until now. So first, that was one of the first things. And you guys, I have taken a lot of, I've hired money coaches because I've had a lot of issues around money, around making money online, and around making money as a female entrepreneur. And so I'm sharing with you the information that has helped me move forward and step into step into my business and make money. And it's a lot of kind of like what Jen was saying yesterday. It's like how we talked about it. It's like, okay, our business gets put on the back burner because everything else is going on. It's like, well, wait a minute. We can still be there for other people without putting our business on the back burner, right? Okay. Hi, Dalmain, if you're here.
I'm here.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go bigger. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the next thing that's really important is to really tap into that energy of money and what the energy of money feels like. So I spent some time, and some of you may have heard this story before, that I really said to the universe, I want to know what the energy of abundance feels like. What's the energy of abundance feel like? Because I haven't ever had that in my life. And this was several years ago that I did this, but I really kind of said, I want to know who I am when I'm not struggling. And I want to know what the energy of abundance feels like. And I mulled that. I contemplated that for about 3 days. And about on the third day, it always seems to happen, about 3 days later, I was sitting in our hot tub on our deck. At that time, we were on our acreage. We had bought this 2-man hot tub. And to me, I always wanted a hot tub. That was kind of luxury. Oh, you have a hot tub? You're so lucky, right? And so we had bought this 2-man hot tub as an anniversary gift to each other. And it was so nice to have. And I was sitting in the hot tub on our deck. It was nighttime and I was just laying there and I had a glass of wine and I was leaning back and going, this feels so good. Like, oh my gosh, this is just awesome. We have this hot tub. And I was, all of a sudden it clicked. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what abundance feels like. It feels like so much gratitude for having this hot tub. I feel so kind of lucky. I'm so grateful that I have this in my life, and it fills you up in your heart, right? And so that to me was the feeling of abundance. So I could tap into that anytime I felt myself go into scarcity. I could come back to that energy of abundance and really spend a few minutes, close my eyes, spend a few minutes and allow that to expand out into my energy field. And so then I thought, okay, abundance comes to you in many different ways, and abundance of love, abundance of health, abundance of, of items that you have around you. But what does the energy of money feel like? What is the energy of money? Because that is different from abundance. So then I started thinking about, okay, well, if I had a closet full of money, of cash, what would that feel like? And all of a sudden I felt this like giddy emotion, like excited. It's like, oh, and also a sense of relief, like that cash, there's so much there. It's not depleting. There's so much there. And anytime I needed to, I could just go and grab a couple $20 bills or $50 bill, whatever, and just, it's there. Right. So then I thought, oh, that feels like relief. It feels like excitement, like adventure, like that excitement of like, oh, I could go do things. Right. So then, what does the energy of wealth feel like? Well, wealth to me is quite a step up. And I want you to really think about it for you. What does the energy of wealth feel like? And I realized that I felt that it was unattainable for me. I was like, oh, that's not me. That's all these other people that, are in families of wealth, inherited wealth. That's definitely not me. So I was like, okay, so what if I was standing in wealth? What would that feel like? And as I felt into it more and more, it felt like a security blanket around you. It felt like, more than enough. It felt like a bigger energy. So it's like, oh, okay, I haven't actually ever taken time to think about that, what that feels like. Because when we can tap into these energies, when we can feel into them, that's what brings more in, right? We become that vibrational match for these energies. And the vibration of wealth is not something I ever tried on. I didn't ever feel into it. Okay. And it felt like, okay, so now I have wealth. I have and that brought up a whole bunch of limiting beliefs, right? That I had to work through. Like, oh my gosh, that feels like more work. I don't know anything about investments. I don't know anything about, all these different types of investments. That's scary. How would I ever manage wealth? Right. And I really had to kind of identify those limiting beliefs and say, okay, wait a minute, I'm smart enough. I can figure it out and I could hire people to help me. Right. So the energy of savings for people, there's a whole bunch of different energies and thoughts that come up around this. This is like days of journaling and reaching into, right? But the energy of savings. And when I've talked about this before, some people have had a lot of fears that come up around that. Oh yeah, I need to be saving money in order to impress my parents. Oh no, I've got all this savings, I'm good. Or I need to be saving in case of something coming up that something breaking down or my car breaking down. Go ahead, Kelly.
Often the phrase is, I have to save for a rainy day.
Yeah.
And that rainy day could be anything like, your furnace breaking down, your car needing a new tire.
Yeah, exactly. And where is that coming from? Well, that's coming from fear, right? It's like, oh no. What about if I said, I'm stacking the cash, right? I'm stacking the cash in my closet because it feels good. And it just that whole shift in energy is like, well, stacking the cash, that feels good. That feels fun, right? But savings has that heavy energy attached to it, right?
Janice, how do you deal with the negativity around wealth? I don't struggle with the other three. I struggle with wealth.
Yeah.
I struggle with the fact that when you're wealthy, you get taken advantage of. When you're wealthy, you have expectations. When you're wealthy, people don't think that, they'll borrow and you don't deserve to be paid back because, you've got money and they don't. I have more hangups over being wealthy than I do anything. I can create money out of thin air. I can save like nobody's business. I love money in the bank. I never, very rarely do I ever want for anything. Being able to, feel like I have more than enough or being able to tap into, but I keep myself at enough.
Yeah.
I could, I feel like I have the ability to generate wealth, but I limit myself entirely because I do not want to be wealthy.
Yeah. And that comes all back to trusting yourself. So it's good, first of all, to identify all those fears and beliefs that come up, write them out. But then every single one of those would come back to, can you trust yourself to make the right decisions? Can you trust yourself to set healthy boundaries around you, to know who to lend money to and who not to, right? So that's a huge one for a lot of people. And we're going to talk about, what you could do. Well, first of all, if you had enough money that you could do investing in, first of all, that money gets locked in usually into different things, right? So other people can't access it. But do you trust yourself to find the right person to guide you there? Do you trust yourself to be able to set a boundary with family or friends that come looking borrow money or to have money. And perhaps you could even have a savings account that is just for family. For many years, we had a child, a fund for an orphan child in Africa that we paid $30 a month towards. And he grew up, and we didn't keep going with it because we ran into some hard times, and it's like, oh, I can't, quite stretch it. And then I decided afterwards that, no, you know what? I'm going to take that money, because I was feeling so much guilt around it. I said, when I get to the point that I'm ready, I took that money and I started to use it for people around me more locally. I started to give money to funds. Like, I had a student going through terrible brain cancer, so I was putting money into her fund every month for a long time to help her mom. And I decided that that's where I choose for my money to go, and I choose how much is going. But I could create a savings account that is just for that. Just stick that money, that $30 a month in there. And then when a loved one comes to me and says, I'm really stuck, then it's not taking from my comfort, which is what I used to do all the time. So I would deprive myself in order to help them. So now I take the money from the savings and I say, okay, here's how much I have that I can help you with. Here's what I have access to that I can help you with. And
I'm fine with the charity side of it. It's the loan side of it.
Yeah. Then people want loans from you.
Yeah. And I mean, I write up contracts and there's interest, and I flat out tell them, like, there's no emotion behind this. This is the terms. These are the conditions. This is what you're expected to pay back. And, it's just, there has been so much negativity. I mean, my entire family has basically, because when I had lots of money and I had healthy boundaries and I wasn't going to be raped and pillaged and just give it away because I had and they had not, then, like, I mean, I literally have no relationship with my mom, my stepdad, my brother, my sister, because I wasn't going to just give them everything that I'd worked for.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. I have, a friend that I lent, a substantial amount of money to help them get ahead, and, would sit there and listen to them talk about how, their financial life was turning around, and yet they still couldn't find it to be able to pay me back what they owed on time.
Right.
It's like, why? Because I make good money, so I don't deserve to be honored in return. Like, I have I mean, I know you guys can all feel my energy. I have so much hatred towards wealth. Like, literally, that's what it is. It's hatred.
Yeah. And that is a wound that needs to be healed. But that too, then, that's a healthy boundary thing again. Are you able to, if you lend money out and you have a contract, that still means that you need to be approaching them in a healthy way and saying, okay, what can we do now? Right? What's the next step? Right? And that comes all part of it. And that can be, I mean, if they're taking advantage of you and not repaying you, then the boundary's not there. Even though we feel like we've set a boundary, it's not there. We have to be able to then stand up and approach them and say, okay, here, this is what I need from you. Can you do anything? Like, you can do it with love and caring and still create boundaries. But I know that if there's a past, and Kelly, you go ahead in a second here. If there's a past, it's created a lot of resentment there. And that energy is still lingering then. And that's something that needs to get cleaned up.
I feel like every time I help people, I'm fine with the charity side of it. Like I said, if I can give and not have that expectation of return, but when you enter into, a contract situation, then, there is that expectation. Every time that situation comes up and so much around it, that I continually have to choose between, you know, my family, my friends, those relationships, and, you know, yeah, and it doesn't matter because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you don't lend them the money, you're the bad guy. If you do lend them the money, then you have to chase them, and it ruins the relationship because they don't think that you deserve to be paid back anyway. So it's like, okay, every time that, you know, you enter into these it's like, okay, oh well, that was really nice knowing you. Thanks for being part of my life. See you later. Like, and I'm tired of that. I'm tired of, you know, having to put the boundaries up and having to choose, looking straight across the table at that person and knowing this is the last time we're going to be friends, because I'm either going to have to chase you down and put those boundaries up and make the demand on our relationship, or you're going to be mad because I won't help you.
There's definitely, any time you lend money out to friends and family, it's like, release it, let it go, and don't expect it to come back.
Yeah.
Like a charity,
well,
right?
When you're talking tens of thousands of dollars, unfortunately, I'm not just going to let that go.
But then maybe you're not ready to be lending that, right? Maybe that's not a good option. Maybe the option of, you know, saying, I can't help you at this time is better, because then it's up to them. Like, how they react to it is their issue, not yours, right? That's their issue. If they get angry at you, there's other places people can go for money. They don't need to come to family or friends for it. I like what Micah wrote here. It feels like your wound is not just from this lifetime timeline, but also from other lifetimes timelines. So
very well could be.
Yeah. Kelly, what were you going to say?
I just want to put a few cents in here. We're talking money. So you could go to the point of collections if you choose to, or you could just keep on beating yourself up for lending out the money. At the same time, ask yourself, what would it look like if that money never came back to me?
Mm-hmm.
So ponder on that question. What would it look like if the money did come back to me? Would it change your life for the better? Would it change your life for bad? Would that person still be in your part of your relationship? And
absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to continue to let somebody who took advantage of me in my life. Absolutely not.
Right. And so I don't know how much you charge for treatment. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say, okay, $150 a session. And I come in and I say, hey, Lindsay, how about if you just let me have a session for $50? Well, you would look at me and go, no, I choose who I give my time away to for free. I choose who can take my money. I get the permission. Like, I've got a set rate. Who decided that Kelly could have this for a discount? You know, so you have to start, you don't have to, it would be wise for you to look at, like Jana said, having your boundaries, setting your boundaries, and voicing your boundaries to these people. And say, hey, you know, I lent you this money a couple of years ago. I haven't even had a payment back yet. When is that going to happen? Have you got something set up in your regular budget? If not, let's go talk to somebody who can set up a budget plan for you to help me do some repayment schedules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the energy of that wealthy woman.
And I do that, but their nose still gets out of joint, and the relationship is ruined.
And
I have a positive to put on that.
Yeah.
Many years ago, my uncle and my aunt that just passed away, they've always been quite difficult handling their money. They had lost, I saw them take advantage of my grandmother, and she gave them a down payment for a house, and they lost the house and they went bankrupt, and they never really had very good handle on their money. And I really didn't have much money. However, they came to me when I was 20 years old and asked me if I could lend them some money. And so I suggested that I take a collateral, and the collateral was some paintings of his aunt that was a well-known painter, and that they were just the paintings, they weren't framed or anything. So they were quite angry with me, but they did give me the paintings, and we held the paintings, and then they paid me back. Now I know that they had a little bit of a tension around that, but it all worked out, and I ended up being her best friend. So it can work out. My son owes me $1,500 right now, and it's signed and papered and it's past due. He also asked me for $200 last week or 2 weeks ago, and I gave it to him because he wanted groceries, and he did pay me back. I got an e-transfer the other day without him even telling me. He just sent it through, and I feel that energy with him changing, and I feel that it's going to go positive. So I think the energy we put out there is what we're going to receive from. And I really believe that once you do give that money, it is kind of gone. You have to say, I give it to you, and the universe will provide it back for me some way, some shape, somehow. And then it'll return. But yeah, it sounds like you've got some deep, deep stuff there. And I really don't like the idea of wealth either. I was around very wealthy people on the ship, working with, sitting at the captain's table, having 10-course meals with wine and oysters and lobster and all this stuff around me. And I never felt comfortable with it. I went when I had to, but it didn't sit right with me. It's like, oh, all this extravagance, and there's so many going without. And that's kind of what I looked at. But I do believe that there is enough for everyone. And I do believe that if we have the right energy around us, and I want to find that energy so bad. So I really am ready, willing, and able for it to come into my life in whatever way, shape, or form. Will people continue to ask me for money? Maybe. Some I will say yes, some I will say no. I don't know until that time comes up. But I don't know. It's weird.
That's a fabulous idea with the collateral. I love that. And being able to be strong enough to ask for that, right? There's a couple things that I was thinking of as we're talking about this. And one is like the energy of luxury, like the extravagance, and that I struggled with that so much because at my earlier years, my first business that ended up in bankruptcy, and you can see why, was because I was an interior designer, and I would walk into these big houses with like 12-foot wide entryways, and all hardwood, and it would bother me because I'd be like, this is excess. This is not needed. You're just like cutting trees down to put in your front entrance. And, these would be the thoughts that went through my mind, instead of me looking at it and going, what beautiful craftsmanship. This is gorgeous, and oh, wow, the people that designed this, that created this, like, how talented are they? And even like when you sit in, sometimes you go, wow. And there's a funky energy, like when you sit in, like you said, Dalmaine, in the ship at a dinner where they're having access, instead of admiring, the beautiful silverware, the skill level of the chef or the people serving the dinners, right? And looking at that and going, this is art in itself. And I struggle with that still. So I'm not quite there yet, but I've been in conversations in women's groups where we've talked about the energy of luxury, and that there is a place in the world for luxury, right? And for opulence and extravagance and that sort of thing. And maybe that's just not where you want to be, and that's fine, but there's nothing wrong with it. That's chosen art and design for other people. But coming back to that collateral, what was the other thing I was going to say? Now it's gone. It's the integrity. So you said, Dalmaine, the energy that you put out is so important. That is so important. So the energy of your own integrity. Where in your life have you maybe not handled money the way you maybe would like to now? Where, like, are there any older, like for me, I looked at, did I owe anybody money? Right? Did I clean that up? Did I pay those, bills that could easily slide, or any parking tickets or anything where I thought, they don't need my money, I'm not paying that? Or, like, where have I been in integrity with money? And am I cleaning that up? Am I continually cleaning that up and saying, you know what, my word is law. What I say is what I do. And the same with money in my life. I pay my bills whether I want to or not, type of thing, right? So keeping that energy clean is super important, right? So hopefully some of this helps you, Lindsay, but I do feel like it is a very deep wound. I think Micah's absolutely right on there. And there may be some past life stuff that is seeping into this life around abundance and money and wealth. Yeah. Maybe that's something you've had in the past too, right? Interesting. Get curious about it. Get curious. And Kelly said that too. Get kind of like the curiosity there instead of the resentment so much and anger. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move
Lindsay,
on.
Just like,
yeah.
Lindsay, you could also with sit with whatever the emotion is around, like, one specific one, and label the emotion, whatever it is, anger, resentment, frustration, whatever it is, and then you expand it in your body to make it bigger, like as big as you can. Obviously, like the first time you do this, you might want to do it by yourself. You're not just like exploding everywhere. So you make it as big as you can, and you label it like anger, resentment, whatever. Anger. Say it's anger. And then you ask it what it's there to show you in this circumstance or situation. And so then whatever, like maybe it's, okay, well, I feel taken advantage of, or I feel like my boundaries were not honored, whatever it is. And then you flip it to whatever the positive is for you. If you don't want to feel anger towards it, you want to feel peace, or whatever. So then you imagine whatever the dark color of anger or whatever it is, transforming into a color that brings you joy or peace. Like maybe it's pink, purple, maybe it's sparkly, maybe it's just glitter. And then you pull that back into your center. So you're releasing that emotion, but you're pulling back in the positive emotion. And maybe it can help you, like it's not going to dissipate all of it. You know what I mean? Like you're still going to have those feelings towards the situation, but maybe it can help you weave through and unravel what needs unraveled, so you can be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is my step forward. Or this is what I'm choosing now.
That's awesome. And also what I've noticed through the years is the forgiveness of yourself. So it's not so much that you're angry at them as much as you're angry at yourself for allowing yourself to get into that situation. So then it becomes I need to forgive myself for this. I need to release myself from feeling like beating myself up over the fact that I walked into this situation and now it's now it's here in all of this mess. So that's a big one too. I love this group. You guys are amazing. We have amazing coaches here. You should all be coaching, by the way. Okay. Okay. So taking action to create the energy in your life. So everything in our life happens for us, not to us, right? And this is the energy that we are remembering that is like Micah just said, what did this bring in for me to learn, right? Because I'm the creator of my life. So one of the things we're talking about in here is getting really clear around money energy, wealth energy, abundance energy. And this one coach that I had taught this, and it was awesome because I followed this. She said, make a list of everything that you want in the next 6 to 12 months. So everything that you want to have, maybe buy a new car, whatever, everything that you want to do, and everything that you want to be. So, and some of it you can, like everything you want to be, you might have courses to take or not, but see if you can assign a dollar value to everything on your list. Okay. So you do this. What do I want in the next? So it's just getting clear of what do I want in the next year? Where do I want to go? Do I want to travel? Do I want to buy some new stuff? Do I want to take courses? Do I want to take time off work? Whatever, all of it. And then take your total. So you assigned a monetary value to everything, and take your total and divide it by 6 or 12, whichever you prefer. It could be like, this is about per month. So let's say we divide it by 12 to say, okay, I'm going to make this like a payment into a fund for myself. In the next 12 months, I would need to put, $2,000 a month away or whatever it is, right? You also need to total all your monthly expenses. Okay. So total all you would spend on your food, your gas, extras, etc. So now you have your monthly expenses and you have your monthly goal of what you would need. Okay. So the whole thing around this is the money mentality energy around, well, what would I need to how much would I need to live my ultimate life? Because we need to assign a job for our money before it even flows into our life. It is very hard to get money to flow into your life excessively when you don't know what you would do with it. This is huge, right? It's huge. So I have a template that I use every month. I'm sure most of you do, that lists my bills and what I'm paying and what the balance is, right? But I'm going to show you another template. And this is the template that I sent to you guys yesterday. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Can I share about this this particular slide right here before you get into the template?
Yeah.
You said you need to assign a job for where your money before you earn it. So 10 years ago, 11, almost 11, my buddy and I were going out to Banff for a weekend to celebrate our 50th birthdays. And I had art show the previous weekend. And I had, I think, 12 pieces in my show. And one of them was marked at $700. And I thought, wow, it's never going to sell, And then I was texting my buddy and she said, hey, sell a bunch of paintings and then you can pay for our weekend. And it was a joke because, she makes a gazillion dollars. And it was, so I texted her that evening and I said, I sold the $700 painting. She said, oh, good, you're buying supper. The next morning, it was a 3-day sale. The next morning I sold a $400 painting. Over the whole weekend, I sold $2,900 in paintings. And she said, you got to pay for the whole weekend. And this was because we had assigned something for this money that was going to come in. And I thought, wow, it really does work. So I just, before you get into the template, I wanted to share that because it was kind of exciting. It was really exciting.
That's so cool. I love it. Because I also, when I first hired a coach because I wanted to go and take Gabby Bernstein's training, and I was hemming and hawing over it. I didn't feel worthy of it. I didn't feel like I should be in the same room as some of these women that I knew were online presences already. And who am I from a small town to go and do this? Well, I worked with her through that. We uncovered a lot of fears and blocks, but I finally got to the point where I said, okay, I'm going. And I needed $3,000 for the ticket, let alone the flight and the cost of being there. But I needed $3,000 for the ticket. And so there was a girl online that couldn't go, and she was selling her ticket for a little bit less. And I went to the bank and I was just questioning, well, if I needed to send some money down to this girl in the US, what's the best way for me to do it? It would be a money order, or can I do a transfer into her account and the exchange? And so she said, okay, well, the best way would be this. And she explained it to me, and she goes, is there anything else? I said, no, that's it. Thank you. And she said, oh, by the way, I just need to let you know that you have access to $5,000 credit here if you want. It's like, what? I made that decision that day. I decided to go to the bank, get some research, and the universe just provided. So of course I have $5,000 available to me for a line of credit. Of course I do, because I made the decision of where the money would go, and it just comes, right? And I have signed up for so many courses where I've gone, I'm not sure how I'm going to make this payment. It's like a payment plan over 6 months or a year, but I did it. I found the money because I was so excited about taking these courses. And then I got to the point where okay, I need to get ahead of the game. I want to be ahead of the ball here. So this template that I'm going to show you shows you exactly how I managed to do this. Let me just cool. Awesome. I need to open a different screen here that I will share with you guys. Well, the screen of.
And Janice kind of knows this for me too, of even paying for this course is a monthly struggle, but it's happening.
Right? It does happen.
And I sold what I needed to sell. I actually sold one of my bigger paintings that I don't even normally take to every show because it's so friggin' heavy, and I sold it on that last show, so that was good.
Oh, that is awesome. Congratulations.
Okay. Oh, good.
Oh, come on. Sorry. I need to get rid of this. Let me just escape that. Okay. And down here and up here. Okay, let me just get back this open. I thought it was open already. Sample sheet. There we go. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is this template that I sent to you guys, and it can be a little bit confusing, but this is what you need to kind of play with a little bit. So down the left side here are all the things places I need to put my money. And in between, in bold, are my positive affirmations, so that I'm constantly reading them as I'm playing with my money or putting my bills in and that sort of thing, right? So let's say I make money daily here. My ultimate goal is $30,000 a month. That's a big goal. Right? When I started this, my ultimate goal was $12,000 a month. So I'm up in it now because we're there. So here's an affirmation. This one is an affirmation. I'm now making $30,000 per month. So in my business, what I would need to make is $24,000 I have other monthly income of 2,000 and 5,000, let's say. So I'm just putting random numbers in here too. So this is my income of what I would ultimately need to make. Now, coming down here, this is where I'm going to take my monthly bills and put them in. So I have some business expenses, and that might be on a different spreadsheet, but $500 a month for keeping my website up, paying for my MailChimp, paying for, some other programs that I have that keep my social media going. Okay. I'm living in my dream house. So let's say you have a mortgage or a rent payment. That's where you're going to put it in here. Here's all your bills, and you can change this. The template that I shared with you, you can make a copy if you have Excel, because it is an Excel sheet. So if it doesn't open for you, it might be a problem. You might need to transfer it to a different program, right? So you put in all your monthly bills, right? So, and what you're paying. And ultimately at the end of the month, this is what I would plug in the actual amounts of what my bill was. Positive affirmation, insurances, car payments, right? And then moving down to credit cards. Let me bring this up a bit. So ultimately, if I have credit cards that I owe, ultimately, I want to pay $1,000 per month on them to get them to come down. So I put in $1,000. This is what I want. Okay. Up here, these are what I paid this month. This is what I want. I can change it to what I paid if I want. Another positive affirmation. I now have 20 soulmate clients in every course and training I run, right? So this section then is where I would put my goals that I just figured out and divided by 12. I could put them in here. I could put, let's say I wanted to put $500 away every month. Let's say I want to save for a new vehicle, for a trip, for a house, whatever it is, you want to put that in here. Your goals, $1,000 a month for my goals. Or if I wanted to have, let's say, take 3 different trips per year, I might want to have $10,000 to $12,000 in there. So $1,000 for savings. So ultimately, this is ultimately what I want. Don't forget things like wealthy woman products. So your haircuts, your skincare. If you get nails and lashes like me, I'm expensive. Dinners out with the girlfriends, right? Here, health products were vitamins, right? Because I do have quite a stash of vitamins that I take every month, and those things are freaking expensive, right? Groceries. My partner. So he plays pool every week and he loves going fishing. He's going to need extra money for fishing and his pool payments. He's really an easy keeper at $350 a month. I can't complain, right? Gas between both of us per month, and any extras like gifts or donations, things like that you want to be able to pay. So when it comes down to the bottom, if I had all my money in there, this column will automatically total it for you. Okay. So you can see that $11,575 is what I need per month to have this kind of lifestyle. And I was like, what? That's it? Well, back up at the top here, I said I wanted 30,000. So if I'm only making 12,000 per month and I haven't assigned a place for the rest of that money, the difference between 30,000 and 12,000, it's probably not going to show up in my life because I don't need it. I'm comfortable, right? So I need to stretch a little bit more. This tells me where I need to stretch. Okay, what would I do with that difference? Where would I put it? What would I do? So I need to add something into my column to even it out, right? So this then, if I move over, I put the balance column in because I like to, if I'm watching my credit cards go down, I like putting the balances in of like, oh, I'm $1,000 less this month or whatever. And then here is what have I actually achieved. So let's say you put your money in here of what you've achieved. So, sorry, over here, this column was my ultimate. And then over here is what I actually did for the past month. And if there's a difference, like, okay, so I didn't make enough money this month. So this one automatically will calculate what you need to create, the difference you need to create in order to get to that $30,000. So these sums are already in here and we'll calculate it for you. And then over here on this side, it's always good to have a running total of your worth. What do you have? You know, do you have a house? Do you have land? Do you have vehicles? What are they worth? Do you have a savings account or investments or anything? And so that you always know what your value is, where you're going and where you are. And this is where you open up to receiving more. This works. The first time I did this, I had said, I actually had put 15,000 in as my ultimate. And 2 days after I did this chart, we sold our trailer for $15,000. Now we had our trailer up for sale for probably about a few months, and we had tried to sell it the year before, but it doesn't matter where it comes from. The money came in, $15,000. And you know what? It came, the guy paid in $150 bills. So he handed me this stack of cash and I took it and I put it in my closet and I took a picture of it. I sent it to my daughter. I said, do you remember how I was talking about the energy of money and what would it feel like to have a stack of cash in my closet? It's like, wow. It was fun. It was fun. Anyways, the whole point is that you have to have a place for your money to go. You have to know what you would be doing with it. Have that goal, because you have more magnetism to that when you say, yes, I want to go on a trip to Alaska, right? And next thing you know, you've got the money, right? Set goals, go after things, commit to them. And yeah, it makes a powerful difference. Does that make sense, you guys? Use that template. And if you want, change it to whatever it is that you need to make sense for you. And I'm just checking our chat here. Okay, perfect. So come back to my other one. Let me back up a bit. Okay.
Janice, I just wanted to say something about your Excel spreadsheet. I really like how you have in bold all those positive affirmations, you know?
Yeah.
And at the very end, it was like, I am creating a wealthy woman's life. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you. And I loved that. That was something my coach told me. I'm sorry, hitting the wrong. Don't know what I'm doing this morning. Because as we work with money, sometimes it can be, we put it off, we ignore it. And I know that myself. I used to put off paying my bills because I didn't want to look at it because I knew there wasn't enough. But the clearer we are, like a wealthy woman knows where she's at. There it is. Always knows where her money is at. Okay. Where is it? How much do I have? Right? what's in which account, investments, savings accounts.
I
And
just want to share a story.
yeah,
I saw a video yesterday, and it was Jim Carrey. He's a pretty powerful manifester, and the story was he was in an interview with somebody. I can't remember who it was, but he's like, yeah, I wrote a check out to myself. He's like, I was driving down the road and I just had this vision. I wanted to be a successful actor, and I just pictured myself doing it. Got home, I wrote a check to myself for 10 million in 2005. And he said, he just put it in his wallet. And in 2005, he got the Dumb and Dumber gig, and it was for exactly 10 million. And he still carries that old check around in his wallet. And I was just like, that's so cool. Way to go, Jim Carrey. Like, I just
right?
thought it was awesome. Yeah.
That is
So I'm trying to
awesome.
think what I'm going to write my check to and put in my wallet.
There you go. Yeah. And honestly, like the goals that I have set in the past and gotten to, I'm like, why didn't I set it higher? Because it's as easy to manifest that as something else, but it has to be something believable for you too, as well as a stretch. So I had goals of making $3,000 a month. I had goals of having, 12 clients, and like I'm there. I'm not 12 clients in every program, but I have 12 clients right now in all my programs, like together. And I'm there at 3,000 a month or more, right? So I'm like, damn, I should have set it at, 10,000 or 5,000. And, so make it what's believable for you. I mean, overall, the 15,000 a month was something that I calculated. I calculated out all our bills. I calculated out all of our income, not just my business, but all of our income. And it's like, we're getting there. Oh my gosh. Like, go bigger because you can. And it doesn't feel like we're there, but we are. So it just kind of happens. It happens gradually, and you can achieve whatever you desire. So decide on the outcome or the result you want, remove the emotion and do the work. That's a big thing. Removing the emotion, right? So that's where the work is too, is identifying those things, because there's no correlation between money and self-worth, right? We talked about that. You can still be working on your self-worth and feeling good about yourself, and the money can be rolling in. Money is a man-made thing. That's why the energy is different. Money is not like a universal energy like abundance or peace or joy. That's a different whole feeling. Money energy, it's just an energy that is the same as the energy of your house, right? It is what you put on it. So you can let go of the emotions and just let it roll in. I always see it like a water fountain or something that just float. Let's just turn it on, let it flow, right? Or like a traffic cop standing in the middle, you get to direct where the money goes, right? You get to, okay, money flow this way. Okay, it's got to go down this way. Let's just keep moving it. It moves, it flows, but it really is connected to your own inner work. The more you work on yourself, the more you get cleaned up inside with all of your emotions, your beliefs, your limiting beliefs, the more energy can flow in. And that is what's made the biggest difference in my life. And I used to think, I remember sitting down once and going, okay, wait a minute. When we went through our bankruptcy, we had powerful love between John and I and our kids. Like, family love was super strong. So how can money and love be connected. When people say, well, do what you love and the money will come, it's like, oh, there's a little bit more to it than that. But what it is, it's self-love, self-deserving, self-worth, right? The more you clean that up and open up, the more it can flow through easily without any blocks. But it can come even as you're working on that, right? So many different things with money. So, separating emotion, if you were living right now in the wealthy woman entrepreneur lifestyle, what would you be doing each day? What would be happening in your business that continues to bring in clients, money, flow? Like, what would be going on? Because we can't just have a good day and then a bad day and go, oh, I don't feel like doing anything and walk away. Like, you got to step into that wealthy woman who's running her empire, right? And think about this. If you actually hired you to run your business, would you fire you or would you keep going? Why are you not stepping into the wealthy woman? Well, what are the worries or fears you're experiencing when you look at the list? Like, write down what's coming up for you for each item on your list that you wrote. What were you feeling? What's the emotion coming up? Which we kind of covered that, right? And learning to dance with the fears. So the fear never goes away. The fears of, oh, I made $1,000 yesterday. What if I could never do that again? Right? Like that fear. Oh, how could that even possibly happen? Right? So feeling around the feels, or feel the feels, experience what you're experiencing, then shift it around, set emotions aside and do it anyway. Right? Put the big girl panties on and go do that live if that's what you need to do, right? For me, yeah. What are all the reasons you're going to commit to being a success-oriented person? The wealthy woman entrepreneur, what would she do in this moment? So keep stepping into that and walk like the wealthy woman entrepreneur even before you feel like you're there. Walk the walk. So this is just something that will help you stay on track too, because it's not all about money, right? Get clear on your values, right? Everything that's important to you and that you can't live without. Well, time is so valuable to me as much as money, right? Time to reflect, time to paint, time to just be, right? And then identify the top 5 and write out your top 10 daily musts that will help you live your life by your values and create the life of your dreams. So I must meditate. I must meditate and journal every day. So that's 2, right? And I value having dinner with my husband at night, like that we sit down and have our dinners together. And I value being available for my grandkids. Right. So how is your world? How are you shifting your world so that those values stay there? Because that's most important as you are building your business. Make sense? Okay. And this is just a weekly planner that I threw in there. You're welcome to print it off if you want. But yeah, from 9 till 9:45, I meditate, journal, and work on my money mindset, right? I really try not to book anything before 10 a.m. in the morning so that I have that block of time to get myself in the right space. Occasionally I have to, but it's something that I value. So I make sure I get it. Meditate to reset, social media posts and, selling things like that I know I need to do every day in order to get to where I want to go. So you can fill it in. Painting, right? There's all sorts of things you could put in there. Or you could block and say, okay, Tuesdays are my painting days. Tuesdays are my days for me. Evenings are my workouts, or early mornings are my workouts. I need to put that back in there. I have been slacking on that. All right, just the final, make the list of what you want to be, do, and have. It's like setting goals, right? Total your monthly money needs and goals. Create the spreadsheet where all your money would go. Make a list of all the things you would be doing in your business if you were already there. If you already had this successful business of however much money amount you want per month, what would you be doing every day? Identify the fears, then do it anyways. Really what I learned from my coaches were, it's all about your limiting beliefs and clearing those out, and then stepping up and doing it, like setting those goals and committing to yourself, right? And that's it. So I really hope it just kind of helps you feel a fire under you.
I didn't, you were just on a roll there, so I didn't jump in. You were there, like, keep stepping into the energy of the wealthy woman entrepreneur. So at that stage, it's like, oh, I gotta put my words in here. I struggle really, really hard with everything being perfect before I jump in and dive into anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, okay, this has to be just right. And this just, and that is, I believe, a limiting belief for myself. How do I get over that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's, so many people have that. And I had that for a long time. Depending on where you, like, if you're doing an online business, people respond more to you being authentic and yourself. And I'm really good at jumping in before it's all complete, right? Letting go, trusting myself, that trust the universe is going to pull it through for me. Oftentimes I would create courses with just an outline and sell it, make the sales page, sell it, and create it as I go. And the amazing stuff that comes through in the energy, because it's the people that bring the energy, right?
Yeah.
Very much it's a limiting belief. And where does that come from? When was the first time you felt like you failed because you weren't ready?
Yeah, I don't know if it's this life or that last life or the one before that or everyone before this. So
usually there'll be something that comes up in your childhood, and a thought of like, oh my gosh, I remember I failed that test in school and I got in so much trouble at home, right? Like, and it just instilled this I hated disappointing everybody. Oh my God, that was horrible, right? And so then you can unpack that and go, oh, right, well, I'm a grown woman now and I don't have to please everybody. I can't please everybody. It doesn't matter what I do. It's not going to please everybody. So what is my soul guided way of doing it? I don't know. Anybody want to add to that? It's like,
I've always been the person like you, Janice. I just go for it. I actually don't question it too much. And even though I am a bit of a perfectionist in some ways, I'm not in others. So it's a weird balance with me because I want it to be perfect, but I'm okay with it not. And I don't know where that comes from. But I know that my dad made me tough, because when I was very young and I was trying out for singing on TV, and I think I was 11 or 12, and I was crying and nervous and worried and upset and all those things. And he just says, deal with it. Either you want to do it or you don't. And it's just like, okay, I can do this. And so after that, it was like, and I made it. So that pushed me forward. Now, if I wouldn't have made it, I might have been a different person, right? But I was fortunate enough that I trusted what my dad said to just go for it. And it actually, I think, made me stronger. So when I look back on it, like, that was huge. So it does. Something must have happened when you were young or in another lifetime, for sure.
right? And I love that. Like, are you going to let the fear stop you? And no matter how much you prepare, I think probably burning out several times in my life stopped me from worrying so much about perfection and letting things go. Like that really kind of went, you know what? I can't, I have to trust. And that's what we're talking about, is a soul-led business. So it's like, well, you got to trust the universe is going to back you up, and it's going to pull things through, right? So when you talk about making things perfect, Kelly, what are you thinking about?
Well, I'll give you an example. So we moved into this house. This is a newer house to us. It's completely finished, and I think it had a paint job 5 years before we moved in. So everything is pretty much perfect. It was a show home on the street when we first moved in here. Like when it was built, it was the show home. So you can imagine it's got all the extra stuff in it. Well, over the summer, we go back and forth to the cottage, and we each have our own tiny little suitcase. It's a carry-on size. Well, my husband carried his in one day, and it left a crease in the drywall because he didn't open the door all the way. And next day he said, I noticed this mark. I said, yeah, it was there yesterday after you got home. And he says, damn it, I thought I did that. And I went, it's just drywall. It didn't take the paint off, thankfully. And I said, why are you so upset? He says, I like us to have nice things. And I went, oh, I'm so grateful it wasn't me. And it was like, I truly believe that my entire life has been, you didn't do that right. Oh, you scratched that. Yes. And so I live with it for the last 30, I don't know how many years we've been together. It's like, I painted the house one day, and I got a little bit of paint on the windows. And it was like, well, how come you made such a mess? I said, well, I do intend to come back after it's dry. It comes off a lot easier when it's dry. And nope. So we had a big fight about that. And I threw the paintbrush at him and told him to finish. And he finished it. Took him 3 weeks, but it's like I'm doing what I thought was my absolute best, knowing that I was going back in to clean it up afterwards when it was dry, because it comes off much easier when it's dry. It lasts, And so I live with that every day. It's like, there's a scratch on the wall. It's like, oh, yeah. But if the little people did it, there would have been no problem. Oh, they're just little. They don't know any different. And it's like, you're beating yourself up for scratching the wall. I can't imagine how you'd feel if it was me that did it. So that's the perfect. And when I choose to do this program and become the coach, it'll be have a gazillion stacks of paper, and well, which one's right and which one do I go forward with first? And so, like I've been collecting a lot of data for, I'd say, 5 years on this coaching thing. So I've done 3 or 4 different coaching programs. When do I, like you said, trust the universe, jump in, dive in?
Well, look at how much you've had here. People have had questions, and you've had coaching advice right here. And look at how much as a collective we've helped each other. So it's not about me having all the answers. I don't need to have them all. And I'll get off this call and I'll go, oh, geez, I wish I'd remembered to say this or to say that, because I'll remember something I learned in my coaching. But it doesn't need to be that way. The people are going to get the information as much as they need, and seeing it as a collective, like it takes a lot of pressure off of you. And that's too what I love about my circle, the Wednesday night ones. The Unstoppable Dream is very much, it's a collective. It's not a coaching program. We're just together. We're growing and we're learning together, and we all have insights. And yeah, so and that good girl mentality has to go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Be the rebel, Kelly. Go scratch the wall and say, what are you going to do? No, I'm kidding.
Well, the day I got married, my mother said, you have to behave yourself now because you're married to a lawyer. Right. And I did this, and I went, so I've been wearing that for years, even though mom's been gone for 31. And it's like, I don't think he married the good girl.
Well, and you put him on a pedestal.
I haven't. Oh, I haven't.
Okay.
Like everybody goes, "Oh, you're married to a lawyer." It's like, he's just a regular guy. You should see the way he dresses at home. It's like, and it's like, he is just a person.
Yeah.
The rest of the world goes, "Oh, he's this person up here on this altar." It's like, no.
Yeah.
And maybe when I look at it like that, I think, okay, why don't I put myself up there for a little bit where everybody else has put him?
Mm-hmm.
So when we moved to Calgary, he lost his identity of being the lawyer because he changed vocation. And I became,
Hi, Lindsay. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
He would come to some of the art shows and they would go, "Oh, you're Kelly's husband." Whereas for 20 years, I was David's wife. And it was electrifying. It was like, oh, he's Kelly's husband. It was an energy I was totally not familiar with.
Yeah, that identity shift too.
Yeah. So that's one of those places that I strive to go back to.
Yeah.
It's just taking a long time.
Well, and I absolutely have learned that when your energy shifts, his does too.
Yeah.
And I learned that, like, we were in a I think he was trying to quit smoking at the time, and he was being very, very miserable. And I found myself like tippy-toeing around him and trying to make sure he was happy. And, oh, you don't like that? We'll make something different or whatever. And then I caught myself, I'm like, oh my God, he can just cut it out. He's lucky to have me. And I just like gave myself this pep talk of like, oh my God, there's so many reasons why he is lucky to have me as his wife. And I do this and that. And I don't need to walk tippy-toeing around him just because he's trying to quit smoking. Enough is enough. Right. And he came home from work in the best mood ever. And I'm like, because I shifted, because I stopped letting him have more power than me. It needs to be equal. So yeah, I love it. That's awesome, Kelly. Thank you for sharing all that.
It was just you know, you said, where does this limiting belief come from? And that was just one example that is most recent. And it's been most of my life is like, you know, I can remember being 4 years old and my mom says, "Don't do that." It's like,
yeah,
what? Like, just we're in public. I don't know if I was scratching under my shirt or something. I was 4 years old. Like, little people do stuff weird. Like, I notice that now because I have the littles around and they're 4. So they don't care what their bellies look like.
And the huge thing is the awareness of like, oh yeah, I slipped back into that good girl mentality. Okay, wait a minute. Let me just shift back again. Right. Like I totally understand. I grew up in a house where I was yelled at for everything. And you never quite knew what was right and what was wrong. And everything I did was wrong. And, you know, and then you create that in your life everywhere. So yeah, it's just, oh, there I am again. I slipped. Okay, let's get back up and stand in our power again. Right.
You guys might also check out the 7 Primal Questions book. I have a friend that's a yoga therapist, and she was like, "What's your primal question?" I was like, "I don't know what that is." She's like, "Well, some of the primal questions are, am I safe? Am I worthy? Am I seen?" So you can go like Google the 7 primal questions and it will tell you what your primal question is. Like, I kept like, why can't I release my videos for this certification? Why can't I do this? And turns out my primal question is, am I safe? Like, I'm worried about being attacked or people not liking me or it not being right. So in this book, he explains like whatever your question is, it always has a gift hidden inside of it. That
Great,
once
thanks.
you can tap into that gift, then your question doesn't matter as much.
Thanks,
I love
Micah. I'll
it.
have a look at it.
I've never heard of that either. Thank you. This is just like a wealth of information, you guys. You're awesome. Anyways, it's 11:30 and I'm sure some of you have to go. So go if you need to go, and I'm happy to stay and chat more with anyone that wants to chat. You got to go? Okay. Bye. You guys have a great day.